Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Niska-backed Sila Sims LNG project gets the green light. We hit the streets of Terrace to see the homelessness crisis firsthand, and how the Heritage Park Museum is finding ways to modernize.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. In a big announcement for Northwest BC, the British Columbia and federal governments have announced their support for a massive floating LNG export facility, despite opposition from some First Nations and environmentalists. A BC Environmental Assessment Certificate for the Niska-backed Sila Sims LNG project that is designed to export Canadian gas to Asia was jointly approved by BC Environment Minister and North Coast MLA Tamara Davidson and BC Energy Minister Adrian Dix. The project is being developed in partnership between the Niska Nation, Rockies LNG Limited Partnership, and Western LNG. Although documents show the project's assets will be constructed, owned, and operated by wholly owned subsidiaries of Western LNG based in Houston, Texas. The project is designed to receive 2 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day for liquefaction, storage, and offloading to tankers. The decisions by the governments come after examination by BC's Environmental Assessment Office, which says that if other permissions are received, the project off Pierce Island will employ up to 450 workers during construction and permanently employ up to 250. The Environmental Assessment Office said it consulted with 10 First Nations, 6 of which did not consent. In a recent conversation with MP for Skeena, Ellis Ross, he pointed out that consensus may not always be obtainable.
I've been doing this 20 years. I've worked on LNG projects, forestry projects, LNG projects, mining projects. Not once have I ever achieved consensus. Not once. Not within my own community, not with other Aboriginal communities, not within BC. So to say that you can only do projects with national consensus without defining it, what do you mean?
We'll continue to follow the project and opposition as it moves forwards. And if you walk the streets of any Northwest BC town, you know that homelessness has become impossible to ignore. Tonight, we turn to the streets of Terrace, where homelessness continues to spark frustration and cries for help. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante shares more.
For 3 years, Jermaine McDonough has been surviving on the street and living by the river in Terrace. He says there has been no meaningful support from the city, but gets pushed from one corner to another by bylaw officers and never given the chance to stand.
Bylaw is always chasing me around, you know, and it's always being pushed away everywhere you go. It's pretty tough, feeling, especially with more and more people coming in and more homeless there is.
Jermaine's plea comes with a direct message for the mayor and city leaders: stop pushing people like him into the shadows and start creating real solutions. Even while fighting addiction, Jermaine says he hasn't lost hope. His deepest wish, finding a path to recovery and reuniting with his children.
Obviously, I got kids, right?
Right.
43 years old, not getting younger. It's kind of embarrassing being honest who I am. I used to be different. I always loved having a house back, you know, kids, normal life. So you push away and do what I got. There's nothing else to do but try to make it every day.
As homelessness grows more visible in Terrace, voices like Jermaine's are raising tough questions. Is the city doing enough, or simply pushing the problem out of sight? Helen Asante, CFTK-TV News, Terrace.
We will bring you more highlights on the issue of homelessness in the region in the coming weeks. And now we shift over to CFTK-TV's Kale Maslin with a report on how a place dedicated to preserving the past is now aiming to modernize.
The Heritage Park Museum stands as a living history museum that is dedicated to weaving a narrative that accurately portrays the past of the city of Terrace, and it has been around since 1983. The land on which the museum resides was once farmland before it eventually was used as the home for a military hospital during World War II. And coinciding with the museum's current curator and executive director Quinn Beblow being hired are some changes that have been made at the site in recent times.
We have now an Indigenous Nisga'a carver, Geo McKay, carving and doing his art on site. We have also added more interpretive and engaging elements to our exhibits. We now have a kiosk that takes credit card and debit at the front, and we're really trying to modernize and become a more inclusive space to Indigenous stories and other diverse stories within the area.
The museum even put together a proposal for Terrace City Council to rehabilitate the nearby Kinhut building and display artifacts from the Second World War in it, while also utilizing it as a space for their community events and programs. But council opted to go with the plan to demolish the building instead. Beblow also explained where her ideas for modernizing the museum came from.
So since starting my position here, I really wanted to grow my education to actually be able to make those changes. So since then, I've gone through a year-long collections management certification through the University of Victoria, and I'm halfway through getting my Master's of Museum Education through UBC. So a lot of those changes have been inspired by the education I'm pursuing right now.
Most of the changes are still in the middle of being implemented, but even with that fact, more changes are in the midst of being planned right now.
I want to build our relationships with the Kitsillis and the Kids in Kalem and Kermode Friendship Society, and hopefully have more Indigenous perspectives on the themes in our museum. And I also want to have projects like expansion and creating a new entranceway and cleaning up a lot of our storage spaces. We have a new climate-controlled storage space for our artifacts, which happened in the last year as well, to kind of professionalize our collections as well.
For CFTK TV News, I'm Kale Maslin.
Coming up next, contention in the Conservative caucus. The Northwest Regional Terrace Kitimat Airport has released their latest passenger numbers for 2025. Similarly to July, the month of August set a new benchmark for the highest monthly total of the year, with 25,400 people passing through the airport. That beats out the previous high set in July by just over 600 people and once again continues the steady upward trend. And new details have emerged ahead of an upcoming Conservative leadership vote, and Nechako Lakes MLA John Rustad, the current party leader, is getting some heat. CTV's Craig Krause explains.
According to sources, around 2,100 new BC Conservative members signed up to vote in the leadership review of John Rustad in Kelowna, but the numbers in the emails of the names associated seem strange. Take a look at this. Many of the phone numbers in Kelowna are the same number for every digit, and the emails are a first and last name followed by @getcloudmail.co. One source says that 2 of the people named are no longer alive, and that the memberships were paid for by 3 credit cards. This alleged scandal sparked fireworks at a caucus meeting on Friday. Sources say Rustad was asked to leave the meeting as caucus discussed his leadership. The source says during that same meeting, Rustad advised that the list of new members has been deleted. Here's what a member of the caucus told CTV News on Monday.
Is there some troubling reports starting to emerge? Yes, there are. I haven't seen any documents or anything of that nature that are being referenced out there right now. But certainly I have some concerns in terms of, making sure that we are, as a BC Conservative caucus and as a BC Conservative caucus, always functioning at the highest level of integrity and always making sure that the public has their faith in us.
The drama doesn't stop at the new numbers. CTV News has obtained a screenshot of an email from Rustad to caucus after the meeting, apologizing for spreading a rumor and embarrassing an individual for having a relationship with someone in the Conservative office. And the leadership vote is taking place on Thursday, and we're also hearing that it's been moved to a larger venue to accommodate for the influx of legitimate members. Craig Crow, C2 News, Vancouver.
Next, let's take a look at your Northwest weather report. Tonight on the North Coast, expect conditions to become cloudy late this evening with a few showers. Winds from the southeast at 30 kilometers an hour, gusting to 50, except gusting to 70 over exposed coastal sections this evening and after midnight, a low of 11 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect a mix of showers, overcast skies, and maybe a little sun. Temperatures from 12 to 16 degrees, overnight lows from 9 to 13 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect it to get cloudy late this evening. Showers beginning overnight, wind from the south at 20 kilometers an hour, a low of 11 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect showers, rain, and a bit of sun on Thursday. Daily highs between 13 and 18 degrees, overnight lows from 9 to 12 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, a few clouds, fog patches developing overnight. Winds from the southeast at 20 kilometers an hour, becoming light this evening, a low of +5. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect a mix on Wednesday and then a sunny Thursday before some clouds and rain come back to round out the week. Daily highs from 15 to 17 degrees, overnight lows from 3 to 10 degrees. Checking your highways around the Northwest now. On Highway 16, there's construction in Prince Rupert with a detour in effect, as well as ditching, bridge maintenance, road maintenance, utility work, construction work, and paving operations underway. On Highway 37, there's construction work, bridge construction, and roadside brushing. On Highway 37A, watch for bridge maintenance and a section with falling rocks. And on the Niska Highway, there's mowing going on. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, concerns are raised as COVID numbers rise. BC has begun mandatory early literacy screening for kindergarten students in a bid to improve educational results. The province says beginning this year, students will be screened for their reading skills to identify possible learning difficulties. The ministry says it is working on a standardized screening approach for all schools intended for students from kindergarten to grade 3. In the wake of the Lapu Lapu Festival tragedy, one man who lost his whole family that day has started a charity. CTV's Shannon Patterson reports.
Yeah, I feel broken beyond repair.
The passage of time has done little to ease the pain for Alejandro Samper, who lost his father Daniel Samper, his mother Glitza Maria Casedo, and his sister Glitza Daniela Samper in the Lapu Lapu Festival attack.
Without my mother, father, and sister, it feels like there's no point in life. I can't live without them. I love them so much, and now that they're gone, it doesn't make sense.
As the only surviving member of his immediate family, Samper has a lot on his shoulders.
Crying every day for hours, and at the same time I've been packing all of my parents' things, belongings, moving it to my house. I'm dealing with the estate matters.
Samper says he's given very little thought to Adam Lowe, the man accused of driving his SUV through the festival, killing 11 people and injuring 31 others. But he is glad a judge has found Lowe fit to stand trial.
There's got to be justice, and we have to see it.
He hopes the trial sheds some light on the mental health care Lowe was receiving leading up to the festival attack that forever changed so many families.
It destroys your life. It puts you in a place where you're not normal anymore. you can't function in society anymore.
The 34-year-old visual and interactive artist is trying to channel his pain into a lasting legacy for his mother, father, and sister.
We're starting a nonprofit organization called Samper Caicedo Legacy. Right now we're in the stages of legalizing it with the government. Our focus is helping individuals that have suffered from traumatic events.
He says it's what his mother would have wanted.
She finds so much joy in helping others, so it's definitely one of the things that I hope by doing will bring me close to my mother.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Burnaby.
As cold and flu season approaches in Cannon, we are also seeing another uptick in COVID cases. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
An end of summer trend. COVID cases tick up just as the leaves start to turn.
I just felt like I was coming down with something, but it felt a little extra.
Sarah Bartok had never tested positive for COVID until last week.
I had pain in my eyeballs, and the fever was quite extreme.
While it's still too early for influenza and RSV, COVID cases are up in many parts of the country. Nationally, the wastewater viral activity level for COVID is at moderate, but levels are high in Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Regina. While experts don't predict this year's virus to be very different from the past, they are encouraging people to stay home when sick and get vaccinated, especially older Canadians.
We know if we look at hospitalization and death, it really is overwhelmingly in that age cohort, especially in those over 80.
This year's respiratory virus season comes at a time of heightened vaccine hesitancy, fueled in part by decisions made south of the border. COVID shots are being limited in certain states and vaccine guidelines are changing, though a number of states have rejected the new, controversial approach to vaccines.
I think it always is concerning when you see a group take a step in a vastly different direction. But I think if you look at Canada compared to much of the world, our policy and advice aligns pretty closely with most other places.
COVID vaccines will begin rolling out across the country later this fall, with Alberta the only province that will now charge most people to get the vaccine. It will still be free for those living in long-term care. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Turning to the markets now, Canada's main stock index finished lower today, weighed down by broad-based losses, while U.S. markets also lost ground. The Canadian dollar rose 0.3 cents. The price of gold gained $6.10. Oil rose $1.22. Natural gas gained 8 cents. Aluminum was down $13. In Toronto, the TSX dropped almost 116 points. The Venture Index fell almost 17 points. In New York, the Nasdaq was down almost 15 points, and the Dow fell close to 126 points. Still ahead, the healing hobby of a Navy veteran. The man accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk at a Utah university has been charged with aggravated murder. The charge means 22-year-old Tyler Robinson could face the death penalty. Kirk was gunned down September 10th as he spoke with students and died soon after. Prosecutors allege Robinson shot Kirk in the neck with a bolt-action rifle from the roof of a nearby campus building. Robinson is also charged with felony discharge of a firearm and obstructing justice. A report on the most recent election has concluded that it didn't go as smoothly as it could have and comes with some recommendations. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
We had prepared to deliver an accessible and secure election, and we did.
The snap federal election cost about $570 million, and it resulted in a record number of Canadians who cast their ballots before the April 28th election date. For early voters, lineups were longer than expected.
So the campaigns are inciting voters to go in and vote so that they can focus on perhaps the undecided electors.
Of the 19.8 million people who voted, 8.7 million voted in advance polls. That's 44% who voted before Election Day. In its report, tabled in Parliament, Elections Canada says the trend of early voting will continue and that it will increase pressure on the organization to find enough workers and space to hold advance polls.
We will need to think about the capacity to continue to expand the service offering, particularly ahead of polling day, and especially given the growing difficulties we face.
Solutions being recommended include extending the minimum length of an election period from 36 days to a few days longer, and using an electronic registry to speed up the verification of voters so lines move faster.
Elections Canada is also doing a review of its mail-in voting process after problems arose in the riding of Terrebonne, Quebec. The wrong postal code of the local elections office was printed on some labels, and after 2 recounts, a Liberal candidate won by just 1 vote. A legal challenge has been mounted by the Bloc Québécois and will be heard in the Quebec Superior Court in October. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
We leave you tonight with the story of a veteran who has rekindled his love for Navy ships through a new hobby, which has also helped him cope. CTV's Adam Sawatsky has the story.
Yvonne LaHoo doesn't need to watch a classic war movie on his phone.
My God, it was so well done.
To remember how the longest day inspired him as a kid to craft discarded cardboard into toy tanks.
And I would put a firecracker and make it realistic. I would blow the tank apart.
Yvonne never outgrew his interest in the military, and at 19, enlisted in the Navy.
So I've never seen the ocean before, and this would be a great thing to see the world.
While he proudly served at sea for the next 30 years, Yvonne started struggling after he retired.
I was suffering from trauma and PTSD. My brain started playing tricks on me.
Until he happened upon this picture of a Second World War ship that he couldn't get out of his head.
Wow. The ship was named after my own town, and I didn't know about this.
But Yvonne did feel, for the first time in a long time, inspired.
I says, I'm going to build it.
Had you ever built anything like this before?
No.
So he thought of how he once was as a kid, before contacting a naval museum, requesting a copy of the ship's blueprints, and started handcrafting countless components from wood and began building a boat from scratch.
The light bulb comes on, and I says, yes, and it works.
And after spending almost 500 hours in his garage, Yvonne felt transformed.
I was pretty amazed with myself on how it turned out.
So he made 8 more, supporting his recovery and inspiring a renewed sense of purpose through service.
To build as many lost or forgotten Canadian warships and bring them back to life.
And now Yvonne's donating his first model to his hometown and the others to museums to honor the sailors who worked on them and inspire the civilians served by them.
They all have a story to be told.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Surrey.
That's our news for now. For more local news, you can visit us at CFTK-TV.com. Thanks for watching.